Okay, I think we're back. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We just spent the whole break trying to sort through each group. Hi, my name is Joel Lisenby. I am a drought information coordinator and a climatologist with with NIDIS. I've been working with Brian and John and so many others trying to organizing these. And I'm going to be leading us through this very last report out session before we finish up this meeting. I think I've got a slide for this next one. Okay, so within your groups, you were each asked to come up with a top idea from your group. And instead of having each group report out on what your groups came up with, we've asked each of the facilitators of each group during the break to share that with me. And we put together some slides about what was said. I would like to stress as strongly as I can that just because this is your top idea doesn't mean that everything else wasn't captured. In fact, our note takers they captured all of the main ideas and key points from all of your comments. We also took the ideas that were put into the chat box, and all of that will be fed into the final what we heard part of these listening sessions. But what we're trying to do with this final report out is really just to contextualize what everybody said. What came up in each group? How are they similar? How are they different? And so we're going to do just a quick prioritization exercise with that. So this is what was heard. This is what each group took away as their key point. And for those of you in group one, that was my group. I just wanted to clarify with you that there were a few top ideas that came up. One of them was closely related to what was captured in group three, so I'm sort of lumping those, and I took the second idea that's floated to the top. So I'll read through these pretty quickly. I can't think of a less boring way to do that. So apologies, but these are the ideas that we're going to do a quick ranking of. So number one, ecological stress evapotranspiration data that includes water availability data and top availability hydrologic products. Number two, tools for past and future water availability with uncertainty communication built in. Number three, a clearinghouse of water data or a common platform for water-related data use, water rights, water restoration potential, and ecological requirements. Number four were improvements. Group four said, well, it really depends on the user's needs. And they really wanted to emphasize in that group that we really need to be listening to users' needs whenever we're developing improvements of water data. Group number five suggested that public-facing stream flow prediction and accounting for anthropogenic activity was a top idea. 6, probability of ecosystems resilience during droughts. 7, there's very little information on how groundwater levels are affecting stream flows. So I think the suggestion would be improved information on how groundwater levels are affecting stream flows. So what we're going to do in the next minute or two, we're going to go to Mentimeter. This is a different Mentimeter poll than we used last time. But if you go to menti.com and put in that code 5038281, or you can scan that QR code, we're going to quickly rank these. And in terms of which ones you think would come out, like which of all of these, which one do you think would have the biggest impact or create the most value for you, is how that should be ranked. Sorry, I'm trying to find where that Mentimeter poll is. I think it's down here. I'll put it on my other screen. And it looks like some people are already starting to vote. So I'm going to make this big, and we can see some of these rankings as they come in. Do that. So just take a minute. I'll stop talking for about 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll see which one of these comes out on top. This is going really well. We've had a little over half of the attendees have voted and ranked. Keep going if you're still working through the different options. But so far, it looks like tools for past and future water availability with uncertainty has floated to the top of this one. That's that was not the group I was in. I'm not. As I'm reading that, I'm thinking of a lot of different things that might mean, or what some of those tools might look like. I'd invite either the facilitator or anybody from that group that suggested tools for past, future water availability with uncertainty to, I don't know if you have the option to unmute. I think you might be able to. And let us know what were some of your thoughts around that? How did you come up with this idea? John just turned on your camera. Is that from you?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I'll give just a quick overview, and if anybody else from the group wants to chime in. So we were commenting on, the needs at a variety of scales, but, especially for like local, like municipalities, they needed like fine scale information, both for the past, so they could see how their management decisions have interacted with water availability in the context of like ecosystem needs, as well as then to think about, the future decades to come, what water availability might look like. And along with that, they wanted some reduction in the uncertainty and an overall better communication of the uncertainty involved in those predictions.
That's really interesting. We had a similar comment in my group about just how important it is to have an accounting of the water coming in and the water going out to give you an idea of what's in your, what's the capacity, was the word that kept being used. What's the capacity of the system that I'm working in right now?
Yeah, and if I could just add one other just quick thought that was, kind of recurring in our group, especially when it applies to ecosystems, was there's a lot of work in channel areas, but they were really interested in kind of ponds and lakes and, bodies of water that are outside of those channels as well.
Yeah, interesting. So it looks like the voting has slowed down. So I think most people that are going to be doing the ranking exercise have done it. But we have a couple of minutes, and there's our group has shrunk a little bit, which usually happens after these breakout groups. But those of you that are online, if you would like to talk about any of these ideas that floated to the top of your group, maybe if you want to give some nuances that we honestly couldn't capture in trying to summarize this in a few words or less, you could go ahead and unmute, turn on your camera, tell us who you are and what your ideas were, or even, so some of these that fell to the bottom, like this ecological stress evapotranspiration data, or the notion that any improvement needs to be based on people's needs. If you want to sort of talk about any of those ideas a little bit and flesh those out, we have a couple of minutes for that if you would like to. It's up to you.
Hey, Joel, I'd just say for group 3, which is ironically, the third place currently, the clearinghouse for common platform or common platform for water related use, rights, restoration potential, and ecological requirements. We kind of cheated on that a little bit. Because most of our comments, I would say cheated. That's not the right word. We had an ingenious, a genius solution to combine our comments there to get it to that clearinghouse. Because there's a lot of discussion on a common platform for, water use itself, or just information on water use, or information on water rights, or indices for restoration potential, or the ecological water requirements. But it all kind of revolved around the ability to be able to pull all that information together and evaluate it in some common, like I said, as common platform there. And we talked a little bit about how that was even, there seems to be a thread of that emerging through all these listening sessions from the past on stream flow and water use and groundwater, that need to be able to pull all that together for decision making. But this one was really interesting too, because it to me it brought together more of the water rights water rights that, there may still be some rights that have yet to be settled. And so can be an added complexity in that and being able to pull information for that together. But the restoration potential is an interesting one as well. And then, ecological requirements as a water use. And so I won't call out any names, but if anyone from our group would like to speak up and add any more to that, they're more than welcome to, particularly if I misrepresented in any way. But it was a good discussion.
Great. Well, I'd like to hear from others in your group, but I also would like to add from my own group, we're the ones that added the word clearinghouse to that. That was the idea of one person in our group who suggested it'd be nice to have a clearinghouse of just the data. If it was all a common format with common metadata, that it would be very easy to compare what are the different data sets and which one would be appropriate for different uses. So it's the same kind of idea of let's bring everything together so that it's really easy to sort through and compare. But ours was focused more on that data aspect and less on the use and rights, etc. So I probably didn't do it any justice by combining the two because they're a little different. But all of the comments are captured. This was just a way of, as quickly as we could, sort through all the different groups and put them into an easy to sort out way to really contextualize what the different groups were saying among each other.
Right. I don't personally, I wouldn't think that would take away from it. I think that overall, just a clearinghouse and a common, I think probably the need for both have been expressed. So to have that captured in one is good. Yep.
Great. One last call for comments, and then I'll pass back to John and Brian to wrap us up. Awkward silence for somebody to unmute and speak up. Brian, I'm not hearing any comments, so I'll pass back to you and to John to finish us up for the day. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thanks, Joe. I know that's a lot of work to pull all that information together in a pretty tight timeline, and certainly appreciate all our facilitators and note takers. They actually gave up the bulk of their break to allow us to pull that together and make that report out possible, which I think is pretty useful to get that kind of snapshot in real time, right? We get to see almost in real time at least what some of the topics that surface from these breakouts. So certainly appreciate everybody doing that. Again, all our breakout folks, everybody behind the scenes that make this happen. This is the last of the 4 drought listening sessions this year that we started planning way back, probably about this time last year. And we kicked off a webinar in February, and we've had these 4 kind of throughout the spring and summer. So this is the last one. We'll be wrapping up with a webinar, just a shorter 1-hour webinar later in October. So y'all be hearing for more information on that as well. But again, just really appreciate all the effort that goes into putting this together and attending it and giving this type of feedback, and look forward to hearing more. So that's about it for me. John, did you have any?
No, I think you covered it, Brian, in terms of that recap session on October 20th. And I think it says here, we'll be inviting all of the attendees from the earlier sessions to that wrap up session. So no need for you to register ahead of time for that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. And again, thanks a lot. And so Eric Smith behind the scenes been running a lot of our PowerPoint and our Mentimeter polls in the first session. Appreciate that, Eric and Catherine. I'm working her magic with Microsoft Teams with pulling us into and out of breakouts. This has been a lot of fun.
And I just add one more name drop there. So you thanked Eric, you thanked Catherine. I'd like to also acknowledge Marina Skumanich, who actually couldn't be here today, but did quite a heavy lift in organizing not only this meeting, but the previous listening sessions too.
Yep. Well, and there's a lot of NIDIS folks that have put a lot of time into all these listening sessions. And so it's been really good. Catherine, unless you had anything, I think we can wrap it up and hope everybody has a great rest of their day, unless you have anything you wanted to add.
I don't. Just thanks. I guess I say I don't. Just thanks to everyone who participated, all the facilitators, note takers. Just really appreciate everyone's input, and look forward to seeing you on October 20th for the recap session if you can make it. Thanks, Brian.
Sounds great. Thank you all. Have a great day.